Thanks for joining in on another Painting with a Maniac in this series. Now, if you've been following along, you've noticed that we painted two of the Space Marines in two different color schemes, and because I didn't want to follow exactly the book, and this is no exception. We are going to be painting the Broodlord, and this again is from Games Workshop Space Hulk. I think this is version 3 or version 4. I can't exactly remember, but that's what we're going to be painting. If you notice, I already kind of started painting it, and how I started painting it is all I did is I mixed up a little bit deep purple, and I airbrushed the skin roughly, and then I used some black, Abaddon black, and I airbrushed on top and everything too as well. And this is just trying to map out the colors of where I'm going to paint them. But he's far from finished. I didn't record that on camera because all it was just airbrushing, and like I just airbrushed the skin and then airbrushed like the armor plating onto him, and that's it. So we're going to continue on, and we're just going to paint him and finish him off. And this will be the last miniature we're painting for Space Hulk. First thing we're going to start off with is we're going to just throw on some highlights with the Genestealer purple. Now, there's no wash on this yet. I am going to wash it down, and I'm probably going to have to re-highlight it. But because where I did the airbrush, there's spots that are on there that needs to be fixed up. I just dropped my paintbrush. That's why you can hear me kind of grunting here a bit and bending down to pick it up. But what we're going to do is we're just going to, paint on the highlights and bring it out a little bit of the purple, because it's more of like a mauve color that I painted onto him, I guess. And we're just going to continue on from that. Hopefully that's going to just bring it up. So Genestealer purple first, and get him in shot here as much as I can. Now he has like little openings in his armor plating, so we are going to be painting the openings in his armor plating, like so, as well as like the separation of the armor here. Nothing, no, it's not hard. It just, get it done without messing it up is the key thing here. I'm gonna try to stay on camera because that would be great. So again, because of the camera angle, you may not be able to see everything that I'm painting, so just bear with me. I will show what it looks like when I'm done if I'm off camera with any of the spots. Just like that. And we're just going to continue on. Painting all of the skin. Now, just like the Space Marines, where I painted two different color schemes, I'm not going to record painting the Genestealers. My son is painting a lot of them, and I'm assisting him, but we're kind of doing the same. We're just going to be, different painting schemes for these two as well, breaking them up into little bits, like 7 and 7, and then the rest, I think, is the way we're going to do it. And the Broodlord is obviously going to be painted totally different too as well, because the Broodlord is the Lord and he needs to be separated from his minions. And that's what we're doing, is just separating him from his minions by painting him differently. So again, I'm just going over the highlights, where the highlights will be, and just repainting that area. And I've diluted this down a little bit with the water, just so everybody is aware of that too as well. I'm hoping everybody is enjoying the Painting with a Maniac series. It's kind of lit a fire underneath my butt because I have miniatures that I want to paint, that I need to get painted. And what better way to force myself or put a fire underneath my butt than to just paint them on camera so everybody can watch it. And that's just the way it is. So So again, I'm kind of making a little blocky. I'm not worried about blending anything in right now because I'm going to be, again, I'm going to be putting another wash, or not another wash, a wash on this because there's no wash on it yet. And then possibly throwing on a little bit of highlight here and there too as well. That I'm going to, and this is kind of a learning experience for this kind because I've never really airbrushed miniatures before. Just trying to learn. I did a couple of airbrush miniatures, I'm not going to lie, but what I did with them is very little. He's kind of more of the airbrushing that the most that I've done. Again, it was only 2 colors. I just airbrushed them like it is, just to bring out his highlights. I mean, just to base him out onto which way I'm going to be painting him. And that's all. Like, you can see on his head there, I'm just kind of bringing out where the highlights will be. I was going to paint more with the mauve color, the purple color on him, like, because you can see here, like, you can see the mauve here and then the black from where it was the overspray, a little bit of the airbrush. I was going to fix that, but I kind of liked it where it was in the shadow. It's going to assist with when I do the shading, just to give that kind of shadow look onto him. So I kind of keeping it that way, and you know, hopefully it's going to work out okay. If not, like always, I can just repaint over it and fix it up till I'm happy, and that's kind of like what I want there. You can see here too as well as he's holding a skull. So I'm just going to start painting more of this. So again, all I'm doing is just, you know, italicizing the parts of the Broodlord that should be kind of brought out and highlight with before doing the shading, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue on painting this. I'm going to probably get a little quiet. I will stop the video eventually, just so that I can get the rest done off camera, so you don't have to be bored with seeing all of this being done. But, you know, I'll just paint a little bit as I go along. Just so that it has, you know, it's going to fill up the video, so it's not going to be way short of a video. I really hope that you did enjoy the other videos of painting the Space Marines, and if you didn't check them out, by all means, please check them out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and bell notifications so you can be notified when other videos such as this one and gameplay videos are available, because, you know, it's good to get notified when other things are popped up for this channel. I'm having a lot of fun with the channel, I have to say. I never thought I would enjoy it as much as I am, but I certainly am doing that. And also too as well, which I find is really weird, when I'm playing a game, it's like, oh, what am I doing here? I can't think. And once I put a camera in my hand, I'm like, okay. It feels more natural for me with the camera, which sounds pretty weird, but it does. I'm used to recording now with just using the camera. Or not recording, I'm used to playing games now more when I have the camera in my hand. That's what I meant to say. I'm back in talkwords today, totally backwards. But oh well, that's just the way it is sometimes. What else can I say about this? Oh, the Broodlord. If you've painted the Broodlord, I would love to see the, images of what you painted. Or even if you shot a painting tutorial on how you painted him, I would love to see that too as well. Just send me an email at boardgamemaniacs@gmail.com, and we'll just see from there. So I'm just going to pause the video, keep painting it, and I'll be back. All of the Gene Stealer purple is finished. So you can see there, painted it all around. I'm using just the reference pictures from the book to paint the Gene Stealer. So you can see his hand is done on camera. Be good. There you go. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over all of the airbrush black that I did. Not all of it, but just in spots of Abaddon black, so that I can fill in the areas that I did a little bit of overspill on, such as like his arm, and so on. So like right here, you can see there's a little bit of an overspill that I did. When I say overspill, I mean overspray. So all what I'm doing here pretty much is just a cleanup. Pretty simple. I was in a little bit of a rush when I airbrushed this, so I just need to try and clean up as best as possible where I kind of messed up. Same with like onto his claws or talons, whatever you want to call it. Should be black. So yeah, just painting it to make sure it all matches up. If there's anywhere else that I need to throw the black on. So I did kind of, you can see all in here on the inside of his arm. Here his armor is. I definitely need to fix that up, because that's not all purple. Just like that, pretty simple. I could say, hey, this is Zenithal highlighting, but it was just overspray. Oh, I think that's pretty much it that I want to add the black. Oh, actually, you see the spikes there onto his head? I want to paint that black too as well. So like these things right here. There we go. And I'm probably going to paint his eyes black, just because he's an alien and he's got no soul. So he's just going to, his eyes are black as coal because he got no soul. And I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Ooh, yeah, I'm that good. That rhyming, yeah, no I'm not. Anyhow, so I think that's going to be it for the black. So what I'm thinking we're going to tackle now before we do the wash is I'm going to throw some highlighting on all of his armor and his claws, and I'm going to paint his tongue and his teeth and everything. So let's just jump over and paint his tongue right now. And I'm going to paint his tongue with Mephiston red. See right there, Mephiston red. I'm not going to bother cutting the video for this because I'm doing it already. Not cutting the video, but I'm in the middle of painting this part already, so I'm just going to keep it rolling and paint away with the Mephiston red for his tongue. These miniatures are so detailed, it's crazy. Like, it's awesome with how good the details are. Games Workshop is well known for their detail onto their miniatures. There we go. And the rest of his tongue, too, as well. It's kind of a little bit of a different angle, difficult angle to get at. His hand is kind of blocking, but that's okay. I think I can handle it. Better if I brought it in focus. I think that's all of it. Nope, there's a little spot I missed. Now I think what I'm going to do too as well is, while I got the red out and I'm painting it, I'm going to paint the little bits of armor from fallen Space Marines that this Broodlord has, like the one that he has in his hand here. I am going to paint it with Mephiston red. It don't match the colors of, what was I going to say, the colors of what I painted already with my Space Marines, but it don't have to. This here is a Space Hulk. They could have been more Space Marines that have come along and tried to clean it out and everything else, and they failed. So I don't have to paint it all exactly the same color. Same with their Space Marines, their heads that are kind of on the base with the skulls, that I'm going to paint too as well. And just basing it out. So this is one of the fallen Space Marines that this Broodlord had brutally killed. So I'm not going to bore you with painting this. I'll be back after I paint all of the red, and that's including the base stuff too as well. All the red is painted, so the helmet in his hand, and on the base he has the red hair from the helmets piled up with all the skulls. So the next thing I'm going to paint actually is going to be the skulls themselves, and all the skulls, and this is Screaming Skull. There we go. Screaming Skull is what I am painting with for that color, and it is diluted a bit with some water just to help. So again, it's nothing too hard to do. This is all going to be a wash onto it too. Probably Agrax Earth Shade. That's what I'm thinking anyhow. So yeah, it's just painting the Screaming Skull onto the skulls. Man, this Broodlord killed a lot of people. A lot of Space Marines. They are human skulls. You can definitely make that out, so it had to be human. Yeah, it's pretty violent. Like, I'm excited to play this game. I'm excited to play a lot of the games, but this game, Brady and I had played off camera. Just, you know, to try to get familiarized with the rules. And we played it and we loved it. And we're going to record it, obviously. And when we played, Brady was the Tyranids because he really liked the way the Tyranids worked. And I was the Space Marines because Brady wanted to be the Tyranids. And I'm thinking that's what we're going to do when we record, is stick with that, because he seemed to go really well with the Tyranids and I still sucked with the Space Marines, but we'll see. He did a really good job with it. So we're going to just keep it exactly like that, with him with the Tyranids and me with the Space Marines. Hopefully I will be a little luckier than what it was the last game that we played. But we will see. I do find that, like, with the Space Marines, it's kind of not balanced with the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are so much faster, and once they get in close combat with you, you're pretty much done, because they'll take you away very quickly. but that's just like real combat. Like there's no balance. You don't know who you're going up against, and when you go up against them, it's pretty much what will prevail overall is how lucky you are. And that's what this is. How lucky I'm going to be with my dice rolls, because my dice rolls were not good at all when we played it. They were actually pretty bad. I watered down this Screaming Skull to the point that it is very close to a wash consistency. It's kind of showing through the black a bit. And the reason why I did that is because when I put the wash on, it's going to give it a little bit, in my opinion, it's going to give it a little bit more texture than what it already has with the skulls. So because of that, I think it's gonna look a lot dirtier, like the skull's been around for a long time. And the Broodlord is so proud to show them off to all of his Tyranid minions. Say like, hey, this is why I'm the Broodlord. Because I'm the most powerful one. And you obey me, or your skull is going to be on my throne with everyone else. Something like that, you know. Just an idea. Skull right here. I'm not trying to be like overly precise with this, because I do have to put lead belcher for the base and that, which I'm going to be painting over it. So for around the base, I'm not trying to be like as accurate as possible, because I know I'm going to be painting over it. And it's watered down. The paint is watered down that much that I'm not really covering over the details. That's my methodology for this. But as fair warning, I am not a professional miniature painter. By no means. And I am learning as I go along. I'm learning from my mistakes. And I'm learning from the comments that everybody leaves onto these painting tutorials and the emails and that. Because it definitely helps out so much. And it's going to increase my my game, my painting game. Because I need to become a good gamer for painting. That makes sense. Makes sense to me, yeah. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. So you can see it is very watered down, like I said. That's the way I want it. La 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 la. Skulls everywhere. This is awesome. Am I a Tyranid player? I don't know. I do have a Death Guard army that I am slowly but surely assembling and going to paint it. There may be a tutorial, or not a tutorial, painting along with the Maniac when I get up to the point that I'm ready to paint the Death Guard. Who knows? But I like the look of the Death Guard. That's the only reason why I chose them, is from the look, because I really know nothing about them. And you know, many people have told me different things when choosing an army, but one thing that's been pretty consistent is that when you first play the game, you want to have an army that you like the look of. Like, don't worry about stats. You'll learn all of that, and then you could get another army afterwards and everything else. It is an expensive hobby, so the afterwards for me is going to come a lot later, but I will learn how to play it, and you will see me play some 40K on this channel, and that is going to be cool, because I always wanted to learn it, but I just never really had the time to learn 40K But now I am making the time, and the reason why I'm making the time is, again, because of these videos such as this painting along with the Maniac, that I'm making the time because I want to paint the miniatures. And then after I paint the miniatures, then they'll be like, hey, I painted the miniatures, now what? Then it's time to learn the game. Because I won't play this game with unpainted miniatures. No, they at least have to be painted. I think I got all the skulls. Oh, nope, there's another one there. Whew. Lots of skulls, lots and lots of skulls. And again, I'm not trying to be very accurate and precise with painting this because I'm painting over it with different colors. And you can see the black is showing through the Screaming Skull, which again, what I wanted, that's why I intended to make this Screaming Skull a lot watered down. And then when it comes to the highlighting process, when I throw highlighting, you're going to have like pretty much three different tones onto this. And that's what I'm kind of aiming for. If it works out is another story. We'll find out. But you can see there's another skull that he is cradling in his hand or grasping onto in his hand. So this is where I have to be maybe a little bit more accurate with this so I don't get it onto the purple. Just a little bit more care into that part. All right, you can't see it on that part because his hand is wrapped around it. Nope, so that's good. So that's the helmet and all the skulls. Like that. I'm darkening up, putting a little bit more on some certain things so it's not all the same of a wash. Now, since I have this Screaming Skull out, I'm just going to place this down for a bit because I don't want to paint what I want next with the Screaming Skull color watered down. So I'm just going to use the next part straight out of the pot. And what I'm going to paint now is his teeth, because I want that to be more of a strong consistency color, strong color, instead of the wash. As you can see there. Just turn it over. Just like that. There we go. Now, another thing too as well that I'm going to do, since I got the Screaming Skull out, and this is kind of undiluted, is I'm just going to throw a little bit of highlight onto his talons and spots, just little tiny bits here and there. Now, I know I am throwing the wash over this, or the shade. This is going to be toned down a lot. But when I do this, or why I'm doing this, is just to kind of cut out a couple of steps. Because I am going to highlight it regardless, but I want a couple of different parts of highlight onto it. So I'm just kind of briefly going over little spots for highlighting. I could paint his talons this Screaming Skull color, but I don't want to. I want a variation. They are going to stay black, but they are going to have highlights. And even on his tail here. Is that a tail? I don't know what you would kind of classify that as, but don't make a difference. It's something on him that is kind of like bone or tooth and nail. So that's all. I'm just doing that. You can see there. just to kind of show it off a little bit. I like it like that. I was thinking I may be doing the spikes too as well onto his armor, but I'm not going to do the spikes with the Screaming Skull. Gonna leave it like that. Just see it. So I am going to just add a little bit more Screaming Skull in certain spots of the skulls. But again, I want the black to kind of show through this for the most part. Just certain ones are going to be a little bit more darker than others, or lighter than others, more solid. But it's just to break up and give a little bit of variance to it. Just like that. All right. So the next thing I'm going to paint, because there's really nothing else that I can do with the Broodlord itself until I do the wash. So I'm going to just pull out the lead belcher. I'm not going to record this part, but I'm going to paint all of the metal here and the base with lead belcher, and then after that is done and it's dry, we'll be back to throw on the wash. All the lead belcher is dry now, so you can see painted the base with the lead belcher, and you know, that's about it. I didn't do anything else to it. I like it the way it's going so far. So now we're going to do the washes or the shades, and we're going to do all of the skin first, and we are going to be using Druky Eye Violet for this. So I'm just going to open this up after giving it a little shake. And you know, it's undiluted, straight out the pot. And we're just going over all the skin to make it darker. Now there's already two tones onto the skin. There's the mauve that I mixed up and painted, or the dark purple, whatever you want to call it. And then there's the Gene Stealer purple that I put onto it as well. And now there's the Druky Eye Violet wash. So I'm just throwing it on all of the purple that I did here. And as stated before, this is not diluted. It's straight out of the pot. Trying to avoid the black and the red. Just like so. Now some of this is obviously going to spill over into other parts, and I'm aware of this. I could just watch it and just wipe it as we go along. He is starting to take shape. Pretty easy doing this. I think that's all of the purple that I need to add here. So yeah, all that cover. You can see it's taken on a darker color, which is good. Now, because where I put the highlight on first, I may not need to re-highlight it, but I am going to throw some highlight. It's probably not going to be purple though. I may just do like Longbeard gray to it, or a white. We will see. But in either case, all of the skin is colored. So I'm just going to lay that down here, keep rolling, because the next color that I'm adding now to everything else, that's including the skull, you name it, is going to be none other than Agrax Earth Shade right here. Give that another quick shake, and it's going to be undiluted straight at the pot as well. And that is just pretty much going on everything else, as you can see. Just trying to be careful to avoid where I added the Druki Violet wash. So after this is done and it's dry, we'll be back and we'll be on to the highlighting. The wash is all dry now, and you can see, you can't really see that I put a wash onto the black because it's black, that's why. But I put the wash onto the skin, it's a lot darker. We're gonna throw some highlights onto that too as well. You can see the wash on the nails where I added the highlight, but we're gonna fix that up a little bit by just toning it down with the black maybe a little bit. And then with the skulls have turned out the way that I wanted them, where you can see the black through. But so now it's onto the highlighting part of the painting process. And what I want to do is I'm going to use Screaming Skull, and I'm going to go back over the skulls. But I'm not like overloading them with the highlight because I want that black, like I said, to show through. This is kind of just in certain spots that I want this skulls to kind of show through, because I want to keep the black and, you know, show all of that texture that's coming up. Give a little bit of gradation to it. Gradation, what is he talking about, gradation? Well, from the light to dark, the gradation of it all. That's what I'm talking about, yeah. So, very simple. Again, just to make things show through a little bit here. I'm not repainting all of the skulls, kind of just sporadically picking out certain skulls just to show it off a bit. Just like this here. You get the idea. I'm really liking this skulls because I think that's really cool to have, especially for like a boss. The Broodlord is no exception for that. Very gory. Not gory, but, you know, dark. I've killed a lot of Space Marines in my time, and you're going to be next. I don't know what he would say. Or anything like that. No idea. But anyhow, that's it. So I'm just going to continue on highlighting these skulls, as you can see. And then I'll be back after I'm done throwing highlights where I want. That alone is making it look better. Just that little bit. You know, like I'm not doing everything. Just, again, just certain skulls. Certain areas of the skulls. I really like it, and I'm going to flip it around, do the other side, and I'll be back. I have all the skulls painted, the highlighting you can see there. Bring them up in focus. So again, yeah, you can see all of the shadow and everything, so it's making it look like, you know, they've been there for a long time. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Dark Reaper. And I'm going to dry brush it on all of the armor plating in that. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. So again, I'm just going to just gradually and gently kind of go over all the raised areas like that. So again, just slowly building up. Just slowly building up. Just to make it not so flat, I guess is a good way of saying it. That it's not going to be so flat. Whoops. I just got to clean my brush a little bit here. Kind of off camera slightly. Yeah, I know. I'm doing a lot of humming here. Okay, so still dark, but you see the highlights. just like that, ever so slightly. I'm trying to avoid the purple slits into the armor. So this is very, very subtle, but I'm going to bump it up even more after I'm done with that. So again, I'm toning down the highlight onto the claws just ever so slightly. You can see there. And again, this is not watered down at all. This is pretty much just straight out of the pot. And it is just all dry brushed. So yeah, just, you know, highlighting away as much as I can. So I'm going to continue highlighting onto just the armor and I'll be back. All of the highlighting with the Dark Reaper is done, and you can just barely see it. It is brought up a little bit with the highlights, but that's okay because the next step that I'm going to do to bring up that even more is I'm going to be using Longbeard Gray right here, and this is a dry, and I'm just going to again go over all of where I did with the Dark Reaper. Just clean off my brush a little bit. So again, the edging right here you can see, so just going over just to bring it up. Again, this stuff here. There, now that's really starting to pop more. I'm liking that. Now, I'm going to be highlighting the skin too as well, and I may just do the Longbeard Gray actually just to kind of bring it up to that level. So if I go on to the skin a bit, you know, I mean, when I'm highlighting the armor plating, no big deal. So you can see there. Edge highlighting it all. Again, I don't have like a ton of material or paint on my brush. Just a little bit. Just like that. So like that. And I'm going to do the skin too with the Longbeard Gray. So adding a little bit more product on. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And like right here. Gently go over. And on his tongue. Everywhere else. So you can really see the detail in his face now. So I am liking this a lot. So again, very little bit of product. Just going over it. So I'm not going to bore you, we'll keep it on dry brushing. I'll be back when that part is done and I'll show you. And there you have it. That is all the highlighting done to the skin and the armor using just Longbeard Gray. I also highlighted the skulls too as well, and you can see like the Space Marine helmets. I'm really liking the way this turned out with all the different tonal value into it. It's really, the Longbeard Gray made everything pop on top of the Dark Reaper that I put on first. Very pleased with it. Now there's only 2 more steps left. The last step is just sealing it, and if you're not sure what I sealed the miniatures with, by all means just go back a couple of the other painting videos and you can see exactly what I used to seal it. It's from Testers, and it's just a clear coat more or less. That's all I used to seal it, but I'm going to be doing that off camera. Now the other step too as well before the sealing is I'm just going to take some Roofing Steel and I'm going to highlight the base in certain areas. So again, Roofing Steel, and I'm going to be highlighting it. Very, very simple to do. This is straight out of the pot. Just going to dip it in. Let's see if you can get this here. So I've seen some pictures online and everything else of the Broodlord that people painted, and they put rust on the pipe and everything else, which is cool. But I'm not putting the rust on the pipe. I'm just going to highlight it like this. Very basic. I was actually thinking, oh, maybe I'll throw some blood coming at the pipe or something. But nah, I'm okay with just highlighting it basic highlighting. So again, just edge highlighting the pipe here. Maybe a little bit there, going up the edging. And that alone is starting to make the base pop a little bit more. And plus too, as well as with the other miniatures that I painted, the Space Marines, and that the bases are pretty much the same. I don't want to like give it that much of a drastic difference into the variance of it. So, you know, just keep it like it is. Keep it the same, unifying. But, you know, like metal's going to break down not uniformly. It's going to be different all around, but that's okay. I'll just do it this way. You can see I'm just adding a little bit here and there, along with the edge highlighting onto it. Just like that, just making a pop area. And there's also pipes in the back that I'm gonna have to paint. Just a bit more roofing steel. See it there. Just like so. And I think I'm gonna call him done. Done like dinner. So the Broodlord from Game Workshop's Space Hulk. There we go. Get a nice shot of him there. Again, I'm very pleased the way he turned out. I love his base, not like I love his base with the skulls and that. Really cool. Very pleased. The Broodlord. So I hope you enjoyed this painting along with me, which is painting with a maniac, because I'm a maniac. And look forward to some more painting along with the maniac on the channel. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but as time goes on, because I got tons and tons of miniatures that I can paint. So it's going to be sporadic. It's going to be put into the shooting calendar, which are released on our Facebook page every month. And also too, as well, I'm starting to release them on our Patreon account, Board Game Maniacs, to let you know what's coming up the next month, and so on. So I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, the most important thing when you're playing board games, and that is, be a maniac. See you next time. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.